Now, we've taken a major step, as you've heard tonight, towards deepening our programming with the addition of our senior tech fellow, Mark Cohen. Mark brings decades of experience at the intersection of technology and policy in Asia. Most recently, he served as director of the Asia Intellectual Property and Technology Project at Berkeley Law. Earlier in his career, he established the first U.S. patent and trademark office in China. And under Mark's leadership, along with Gary, we're thrilled to announce the launch of a new 5-part tech series designed to strengthen cross-Pacific collaboration on the breakthrough technologies reshaping our world. The series is powered by insights from our newly formed Tech Council, which is made up of over 20 leaders in this space. And guided by Mark, the council's driving critical conversations on key areas: AI, quantum computing, biotech and synthetic biology, renewable energy, and much more. We have a major tech and policy workshop coming up on November 5th in Washington, D.C., so if you are in town, do let us know. And to kick off a conversation on international technology policy, let's please welcome Senior Tech Fellow Mark Cohen.
Good evening, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here and to hear people inflate my ego. Anyway, you'll see if it's deserved or not. So I'm the Senior Tech Fellow and the first one for the Asian Society of Northern California. And much of my career, as you've already heard, has been focused on technology, intellectual property or IP, and China, including 15 years in the US government. It's a pleasure to be back in Seattle with so many friends. I first visited here as a teenager when I turned south after failing to hitchhike to Alaska from New York City. This is true. It was a precursor of the quixotic projects I pursued in my professional career, only a few of which I'll be mentioning here. Today, science and technology are very much in the news. The evidence is everywhere, not just this program. The defunding of NIH and NSF. The head of the CDC resigns. The Secretary of Commerce wants to impose new taxes on patents. The United States takes an ownership interest in Intel. A reverse brain drain of foreign talent from the US to China and other countries seems to be underway. Vaccines are being withheld. Various news outlets report every day that China somehow is winning the technology races. The list is extensive. If Vannevar Bush, the renowned scientist who crafted President Roosevelt's science policies during World War II, were to wake up today, he would be shocked at the attacks on the structures he helped create in America, which had led to so many advances in areas such as radar, munitions, and healthcare. Bush was not only a technology czar under FDR, but he also had been tasked by FDR to organize a program for continuing into the future in order to, quote, create a fuller and more fruitful employment and a fuller and more fruitful life. These efforts guided nearly all our presidents until recently. And you see there Bush with President Truman. Today, the scientific leadership of the US is under threat. The trajectory was clear even before Trump was elected. Chinese scholars now dominate the top 1% of most cited scientific papers. In 2022, Chinese researchers published triple the number of AI papers compared to the US. From 2019 to 2023, China led the world with new drug approvals, followed by the US. China is now a major outbound licensor of new pharmaceutical compounds. We are buying the technology from China, behind only the US. The Chinese Patent Office now receives nearly twice the number of applications as the United States, and the vast majority of those patents are Chinese in origin. China's engagement on big science projects is also path-breaking. We just heard about one in the United States. China is now establishing a permanent lunar research base in collaboration with Russia. China's Fast Radio Telescope will study deep space phenomena. China's Circular Electron-Positron Collider will be a hub for high-energy physics research collaboration. China's quantum communication satellite is enabling quantum encryption. China's artificial sun project recently reached a temperature of 100 million degrees. The Asia Society has been programming these trends in China and in Asia. We have established a tech council you just heard about. We have an important program on November 5th on Capitol Hill on how best to evaluate technological competition between the US and China. One area of focus has also been US science cooperation with Asia. The United States has signed over 60 bilateral STAs, science and technology agreements, with about 2,000 sub-agreements. In Asia, we have important agreements ongoing in Japan, Korea, India, Thailand, Singapore, Bangladesh, and with China. These STAs encourage public-private partnerships, joint research involving industry and academia, tech transfer and commercialization, and innovation ecosystem exchanges. They also typically provide protection for private actors through their inclusion of data privacy and IP protection, visa work facilitation, and other matters. No STA was more politically important than the US-China STA, signed by Jimmy Carter and Deng Xiaoping in 1979. It was the first formal agreement between the US and China after normalization. Our current STA last expired in August 2024, but was renewed retroactively during Biden's lame duck term in December 2024. Perhaps President Biden did not want to make the renewal of the agreement an election issue, and then he subsequently feared that President Trump would not be so inclined to extend the agreement. Thus far, thankfully, the agreement has not been revoked. The US-China STA had dozens of sub-agreements. On the US side, it was managed in a decentralized fashion by the agencies that cooperated with China. This distributed approach allowed for flexibility and specialized expertise in different domains, but it also meant that oversight and collaboration and coordination could be challenging. The STA represented not just scientific collaboration, but was a milestone in the broader diplomatic opening between our two nations and served to demonstrate the importance of cooperative bilateral engagement for over 4 decades and as a historic marker of the idealism that originally launched our diplomatic ties. In this picture, the Chinese Minister of Science and Technology, Wang Gang, and his counterpart during the Biden and Obama periods, Director John Holdren, hold up the previous photo of the signing of the STA. So we were all conscious, those of us who participated in this, including me, of the lineage that we had in this agreement. Our STA achieved many results. Our joint work on climate studies and clean energy led to advances in battery storage, grid design, and electric vehicles. We also worked on cancer genomics, agriculture genomics, and personalized medicine. In AI and computing, there were advances in natural language processing, computer vision, and robotics. I was involved in negotiating an important intellectual property annex. And perhaps the most significant project of all of these was the neural tube defect prevention study via folic acid conducted by the CDC with Beijing Medical University, which has dramatically improved infant health globally. Considering its success, why had the renewal of the US-China STA been so controversial? One reason is that bilateral cooperation had been affected by concerns regarding intellectual property theft. These concerns should have initially been addressed with new STA provisions for monitoring cooperative projects and ensuring adequate IP protection. Regarding IP theft in particular, the US had long tolerated a provision in Chinese law that mandated that China-owned inventions under joint US-China R&D conducted in China. You heard that right. That law was contrary to the STA, and it also violated China's WTO national treatment obligations. I had raised concerns about this provision for every year during over 15 years of government service. We were, in fact, able to locate approximately 1,000 patents that had been the fruit of US-China bilateral cooperation, and we had concerns of ownership of some of the improvements on them. Yet these issues were not addressed until the Trump administration filed a WTO case, after which China promptly amended its laws. The next slide is my reward for identifying this issue. For me, it had been a quixotic journey to improve scientific cooperation, and for Donald Trump, I was a meritorious senior professional with a cash bonus. That's the best part. A renewed STA, updated to meet current evolving data and security challenge, is essential for the US and China, both economically and scientifically. It is also essential for other economies that we cooperate with in the world, and indeed for all of humanity, to meet the challenges of the future. Balanced and carefully organized scientific relations may also be a key to plurilateral relationships in a post-WTO world, especially as scientific cooperation becomes increasingly more important to our economic development and national security. Today, China has much to offer the US. China's historic scientific reemergence represents a once-in-a-millennium opportunity. But the issue is actually bigger than US-China scientific cooperation. We should also learn from how China experienced to better manage scientific cooperation with other countries and to better harvest the fruits of international collaboration with all the countries with which we participate. Thank you very much.